You're listening to DraftKings Network.
Welcome to the Big Suey, presented by DraftKings.
Why are you listening to this show?
The podcast that seems very similar to the other Dan Le Batard podcast.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize for that.
In fact, the only difference seems to be this imaging.
I have been tempted in restaurants just walking past tables to grab somebody's fries that if they're just there. That hasn't happened to you guys?
I've done it.
And now, here's the marching man to nowhere, Fat Face, and the habitual liar.
So, the Michael Oher blindside story continues. We have, I assume that everybody knows what's happening right now. What you laughing at, Amin?
I'm laughing at, I can't imagine two names in a story that are harder to pronounce than Michael Oher and Tuhoy.
Yeah,
Tuhoy, is that how you say it?
Michael Oher?
Well, I think the first time you saw it.
All right.
Yeah, Oher and Tuoy.
There's an H in there, huh?
Yeah.
It's obviously Oher.
Add
Tuhoy.
apostrophe, make it Irish.
Oher.
Well, they owe him, Amin.
Yeah, he surely thinks so. So the Tuoys made a statement yesterday, right, Jess?
Yeah, which I pulled up, and then everyone started screaming, so now I have to scroll down and
That's
find
all
We're
right.
testing mics because I've noticed in some clips that we put out there,
Spike Lee over here.
people peek.
Are we still peaking?
I have a headache. We have to stop.
Lehman.
Adnan got it from you guys testing mics.
That one actually peaked. So for whatever reason, you didn't get that loud the last time we peaked. So we're gonna have to
Peking duck.
DuckTales.
You're proud of that?
Yes.
Red tails.
Yeah. So they came out. So
Red pill.
What was the statement?
Red Grange.
what's their family name again?
The Tuoys.
Tuoys.
Yeah.
So the Tuoys.
I can recap what happened. So, like,
I have the statement now.
okay, there we go.
It's-
Great
All
filibuster
right.
for everybody.
This is from ESPN. It says, their attorney, Martin Singer, said, in reality, the Tuoys opened their home to Mr. Oher, offered him structure, support, and most of all, unconditional love. They have consistently treated him like a son and one of their 3 children. His response was to threaten them, including saying that he would plan a negative story about them in the press unless they paid him $15 million. And it was also described as a quote-unquote shakedown.
So yesterday when we talked about this, I was a lot more cautious about indicting the Tuoys in any way. The statement made it worse. Like, the statement made it worse. It leans into all the white savior trope things, and it makes it feel like Michael Oher owes them a debt of gratitude. Like, none of us were in this whole the whole experience that they had from the time they met him to the time that they're fighting with him now. However, what we can say quite clearly is that they all benefited from being near Michael Oher in a bunch of ways.
It is strange where what they're saying, not kind of saying, what they're saying is we gave him a home, we showered him with love, and in exchange, we took advantage of him.
That's kind of what they're saying. It's kind of what they're saying. So it's a fair trade. He shouldn't be complaining about it now. So I feel like this should be an open and shut case because all of the things that they're talking about are like connected to legal documents that can be found. If he was in a conservatorship, yeah, then they can find out whether that happened or not. And also like the contracts that they signed to sell the book rights and for the movie and the back end, like there's disputes on how much they got, but ain't that in ink somewhere?
Well, there's actually a paper trail for a lot of the things going on over here as part of the alleged shakedown that the Tuohy family accuses Michael Oher of enacting. He refused to cash checks that they wrote for him because they weren't the sum that he was looking for. And also something that can be backed up, I'm sure, by documents is despite that, they claim that they deposited his equal share into a trust account that they set up for his son. Right. So I'm sure that can be documented.
Yeah, so it seems like it should be easy. I'm not sure what all the confusion is about, but there's a couple different reports. Right now it seems like they're saying that the money that they received was $250,000 or $225,000 for each of their kids, and then 2% of the back-end profits from the movie, which the movie made $309 million and cost $29 million to make.
Now, that sounds very benevolent, but if you're sending an unjust amount to Michael Oher and he's refusing to cash it because he thinks it's not fair, does it make it better that you're still sending that unfair sum of money to his son in a trust just to cover your tracks?
I think what we do know about this is that all the way to Hugh Freeze, Michael Lewis, the Tuohys, everyone has benefited. Nick Saban.
He was in the movie. Depose Nick Saban. Let's get him on the stand. I have a few questions for him.
Everyone has benefited from this, including Michael Oher in some way. I don't know that he benefited from the movie. Like, you don't draft players because, or Ozzie Newsome of all people is not going to draft somebody because he was in a movie. Michael Oher is a great football player.
He was already in the league when the movie came out.
Yes,
right, I know, but the story was out. The New York Times article was out. The book was out.
Yeah.
But Domonique, it's his story.
Yeah, and that's, I don't know.
There is no story without Michael Oher.
He wasn't in the pros when the book first came out. You mentioned people getting deposed potentially. One of the things that has come out about all of this, and I'm sure a lot of people view this film now in a different light given what's happened. Some people maintain this very same light that they viewed it under at the same time, which is, how did she win that Oscar? Yeah. Come on. But one thing that we learned is Michael Lewis and Sean Tuhoy were childhood friends.
Exactly.
Which dum dum dum. Yeah. You know what? This sounds like Moneyball of a certain variety.
And Hugh Freeze went from being a high school coach to embarrassed. Well, he's probably not embarrassed, but disgraced college coach. I almost said professional, which would have worked also. And I think that's the part that's incredibly that's the part that's incredibly uncomfortable for me. Is it's obvious that one thing that's true about Michael Oher's story was he wasn't in a good situation. And he, like a lot of kids of many races, are in bad situations. He's one with a unique talent that they noticed when he entered this religious school, and they all seized on it. And I'm of two minds. Like, okay, you see a kid who has a special talent and you want to help him out, but it seems like it all ends up benefiting them. He goes to the school that they both graduated from, the Tuhoys graduated from, and then Hugh Freeze works his way up from high school coach to professional or to college coach, making lots of money. Then he makes lots of other really bad decisions, and it just all feels so gross. If it's a truly benevolent act, I'm not so sure that everyone needs to benefit from it. The Tuhoys go on to give. On the speaking circuit, making money off that, releasing books. It just all feels so disgusting.
I'm going to tell you what. Like, I'm not even mad about going on a speaking circuit or whatever, but it's like, if you really cared about this kid and his gift. And
like your own kids.
Yeah, and you took him in, and then he went on and have a great career or whatever, like, why is there a profit maximization on top of that, right? Beyond... hey, people want to talk to me. If they want to talk to me because it's a cool story, that's speaking engagement. That's cool. But it's like, hey, I'm going to sell the story. Hey, it's going to get optioned and be made into a movie. Hey, we're going to be friends with Sandy Bullock and all that. Like, that's the stuff, the layering on top that's clearly exploitative. That's the part that kind of looks like, come on, you said, is this good Christian values here? It's quote unquote, because that's what they always hide behind people like this. They hide behind like, this is good Christian values.
I did a deep dive on all their Instagrams when this stuff came out, and the oldest daughter is an influencer now. There's absolutely no way that she would be an influencer without this story. And the mom is a motivational speaker. Every single one, the son's in college football. Every single one of them have.
They've all benefited,
like immensely.
Right.
Also, not a good account. Wasn't worth a follow.
Dominique, you brought up a point earlier that I think is why this phenomenon exists in the first place, which is that it's a feel-good story for white people to really they really embody this white savior. But the stereotypes in the movie, even when it came out, I wasn't even an adult yet, and I remember being like, this is really reinforcing a lot of stereotypes, but I guess everyone loves this movie, so I should like it too. And it was the son who's 6 teaching him the rules of football with condiment bottles, that sort of thing.
Or Sandra Bullock showing him. The dude was already a D1 prospect.
Yeah, I think he was not an intellectually challenged person, which is what they portrayed him as, and that's why I think there should be a lot of heat on the Tuhoys for this. I think there should be a lot of heat on whoever wrote the screenplay for the movie, whoever directed the movie, whoever saw the movie and produced the movie and was like, yep, this is great. We should definitely put this out there. But movies like this still get made today. So it's not like it's a thing that stopped happening after 2009.
And they're coming for Sandra Bullock's Oscar, of all things. I don't care about that nearly as much. But yeah, I was reading about the movie. I never watched the movie because I mentioned earlier I was on the team with Michael and he said he hated the movie. So I was like, all right, I don't need to see it. And the reason he said why he hated it was they make me look stupid. And at the point I knew him, he's not stupid.
In a weird way, this is the Chris Cody theory. In a weird way, is this good for the movie? for The Blind Side.
Yeah, everyone's
because
gonna
people
watch
are going back and watching it now.
Oh, The Blind Side is already, it's one of those movies that's on every flight that you will ever take. It's like Moneyball and The Blind Side. Every single flight I've ever been on, that has been an in-flight movie option. For some reason, because there's, it's not an explicit movie. It's something that's quote-unquote family-friendly, and it's a feel-good story, but it really only makes white people feel good because they think they're doing some sort of charitable activity.
What did you do to end racism today? I watched The Blind
watched The
Side
Blind Side.
on my flight.
It's such a good thing.
You know what? Racism?
Problem solved.
Yeah. Over. You're done. The Tuohys have seen that. Also, the name Tuohy makes you think of Suey.
Yeah.
Like Tuohys.
They rhyme.
What are the Sueys,
when people say the Tuohys, I was like, oh yeah, I won like 6 Tuohys that one year. I helped a black kid go to school, and then
the movie,
an award for ending racism for white people.
I think Bomani did like a racist movie award thing on his show that
the Broskers, right?
Yeah,
Broskers.
Yeah, it's getting its run on the internet right now because he called out that movie before we come around to it. But reading about it, the racist scenes that you're talking about, there was one where I already said they taught him how to use a bed, and the end of the movie is about the gang leader in the neighborhood that he grew up in, like making Leanne Tuohy feel sexually uncomfortable, and Michael like defends her, and it's like suggesting like on a trope that has caused a lot of people in the South to lose their life about like the oversexed Mandingo.
That's a very serious topic. I'm glad we're talking about it, but I want to go back to taught him how to use a bed. Was he like this? Is this how you do it?
I don't know. I didn't see the movie, but at a certain point in his life, he was homeless, and so they have to teach. I mean, this is the article I read said they had to teach him how to use a bed in the movie. It's just ridiculous.
He's like, all right, makes his bed. All right, ready for bedtime.
Lays on the floor.
I don't like this bed. It's just not comfortable. It feels really hard. I don't know why. Like I got all the pillows on it, but taught him how to use a bed? How dare you?
I saw a tweet from someone who works in the service industry in Memphis, and she was like, the Tuohys suck, and I hope they get what's coming. And I know they did it. Because if you're mean to service workers, you did whatever you're accused of.
Allegedly.
Especially service workers on Twitter, because God knows nobody likes to make up a story.
The dad was a basketball player at Ole Miss, and I think he like does some sort of broadcast stuff in association with the Grizzlies. Like they're all heavily into sports, and like the name matters.
I mean, the thing is, no matter what the real story is here, the fact that this movie exists is the crime. Am I right? Like, we could argue over all of the finer points to it, but this was an abomination.
I'll let you slide, Jess, because I believe you, but there's a lot of people talking trash about this movie who freaking loved it when it was out.
Is this how you use a bed?
Hey, it's Mike Ryan, and I've been outdoors more than I'd like to admit this summer. It's really hot. I've been burning through shirts. Can't go anywhere in South Florida without a backup shirt. I'm just telling you right now. But that's going to be the second best advice I give you here. The best advice I can possibly give you, it's cracking open that beautiful white can and letting the great taste of Miller Lite hit your taste buds so hard you feel it in your heart. Have yourself some Miller time, folks. Miller time. You know, the time when you and your friends can get together and enjoy the simple things in life. Why don't you let these wonderful summer moments get amplified with Miller Lite? Because when it's summertime, it tastes like Miller time. The best beer there is. I promise you, there isn't going to be a better decision that you can make this summer than just taking a sip out of that beautiful white can. Make unforgettable summer memories with Miller Lite. Get Miller Lite delivered right to your door. Visit MillerLite.com/Dan, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
NFL Sunday Ticket is now on YouTube and YouTube TV, which means that it just got easier to be an NFL fan, even if you live far away. Like maybe you like the Bears, but you're hibernating in Panthers territory. But with NFL Sunday Ticket, your out-of-market team is never more than a short distance away. Specifically, the distance from you to your remote control. NFL Sunday Ticket, now on YouTube and YouTube TV. Go to youtube.com/presale to get $50 off.
Terms and embargoes apply. Offer ends 9/19. No refund. Subscription auto renews.
Don Batard.
I don't think in 2021 I can get away with my Michael Irvin radio show impression.
No, probably not.
Stugotz.
Kim.
That's okay. I think that's still okay. I think you can do that.
Kim.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
All right, movie time with we have all of our movie friends in studio. Well, not in studio, but on air right now. We have the king of all movies, David Samson. He's really has the best movie opinions. Adnan Virk also hanging out in the Zoom. And Amin Hassan, the prince of poorly made films. Is that fair?
Sure. Although I do have opinions on good films as well.
I know, but I feel like the movies that
the bad movies are
that's like
your wheelhouse.
You've got a niche there. It's like
I do. I've quite a profitable niche as well.
What are you doing to Adnan so early on here? Like calling Samson the king of movies?
Nah,
you gave Adnan nothing.
This is what we're doing right now. We're properly motivating Adnan because he's coming after David. David always goes first with his list. So David, what's our list about today? And can you give us a start? And hey, bud.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Well, we celebrated Steve Martin's birthday on Monday. Hard to imagine he's 78. So I figured, why not come up with a top 5 list of Steve Martin comedies? And the key word here is comedy. Steve Martin, in addition to being a prop comic and being in movies that are comedies, he also does serious movies. So we're sticking to just comedies, Virk. If you can possibly hurry up, Google that to get your list ready.
My list is prepared right here, Samson. I'm ready to go, and as always, it's much better than yours. But go ahead. Lead us off with the inferior list at number 5.
Number 5, All of Me.
Huh.
Wait.
I was on vacation. I forgot how these things go.
Even the fanfare was staring blankly at you.
Exactly.
I don't know that movie.
Production, I mean, wasn't a fan of the movie.
I don't know that movie. I'm sorry.
That's the first time I'm hearing about it.
I've never.
No, Steve Martin has some good physical comedy, but it's ridiculous to put it at number 5. Go ahead, Samson.
Mike, it shouldn't matter if you've heard of the movie.
No,
Once you
that's
hear
on me.
any title, you hit the button.
Look, it went off me, Coach. I'm sorry.
Lily Tomlin.
He apologized.
Hold on.
I got a tweet notification.
Now you've done number 5.
Transfer season.
Just because I don't want to cloud the airways with too many sounders, I'm gonna go ahead and lay this one out. I feel like it'll cover the rest of the list. Proceed.
Please don't bring it down the house. Please don't bring it down the house. Please don't bring it down the house.
Cinephobe episode. Give me a second.
Go ahead, David. Number 4, buddy.
Number 4, Pink Panther. If you don't laugh when he asks for towels for room 2 falling through the ceiling, then you don't know what funny is.
But this is outrageous. There's one Pink Panther. It's Peter Sellers. It's not Steve Martin's Pink Panther, which is vastly inferior. I mean, back me up. This is a joke.
Roberto Benigni would like a word.
This is it's outlandish and it's quite frankly offensive that you would take the remake of a classic that should have never been remade. By the way,
yeah,
they just shoehorned Beyonce into it too.
His list. I mean,
bad list, Stu.
Go ahead.
Number 3,
so far.
3 Amigos.
That's pretty good.
Now we're talking. Yeah.
Co-written by
3
Randy Newman.
Amigos with Chevy Chase and Steve Martin and Martin Short, the latter two who are still working together in a great Hulu series called Only Murders in the Building. There are some scenes in there that I don't know if they play today, although I just watched it in the bathroom at Rocco's Tacos in Fort Lauderdale, where it's on loop, which is great for a man of my advanced age because I spend a lot of time in there.
Does have one immortal line, "I'll fill you so full of lead you'll have to use your dick for a pencil." I'm not sure how well it holds up now.
I love that movie, man.
You can't say
it's a sweater!
Number 2, The Jerk.
Excellent.
It may not be a movie that you can admit that you laugh at, but any movie that has the opening line that it does, it was made, it was funny, it was interesting, it was thought-provoking, and it's a comedy, and it's called The Jerk.
It was made is one way to describe it.
Stay away from the cans. He must hate these cans.
Simple-minded country boy suddenly decides to leave his family home.
Oh, you've never watched The Jerk?
You've never, dude.
The opening line.
You've never heard of The Jerk?
The opening line
I've heard of The
I was
Jerk.
born.
No, don't ruin it. Don't ruin it. For anyone,
It is a great opening line.
at
We can
least
all agree
watch
on
the
that.
beginning of the movie just to see the opening line because it is amazing.
Kind of like a reverse Blindside situation.
Okay. I've heard The Jerk, but I don't think that it's something that I need to or want to watch, but I'll watch it.
We're
I
talking-
guess.
Just the first line.
The Jerk is a
Then you're
right
good.
tackle.
Yes.
You need that to win a Super Bowl.
I do like Only Murders, though. It's a good show.
Number one.
And the number one Steve Martin comedy that will always be number one for me is Dirty Rotten
Wow.
Scoundrels.
Pretty good.
Look at us.
Michael Caine, Steve Martin, and it is a movie about people who scam each other and end up being both the scammer and the scammy. And as a person who enjoys both those
Scamming?
roles,
Yes.
that movie is number one.
Clearly close to Samson's heart, a movie about scam artists.
If someone were interested in doing a Michael Caine impression, how do they go about it, Adnan?
If you want to talk like Michael Caine, you must only say a few words at a time.
Nailed it.
Wow. Adnan, no matter how bad your list is, that was amazing.
Very, very slow.
Oh, I'm watching the trailer to The Jerk right now. Yeah, I can't imagine that this holds up.
I'm telling you.
There is no way.
It holds up.
Wait,
It does.
It does. It really does.
It does.
The Jerk?
It does.
It's hilarious, man.
All right. Good luck. Adnan, take it over, please.
All right, number 5. While Domonique watches The Jerk, I will go with number 5 of Parenthood.
Pretty good.
Samson, one of your favorite
That's
movies.
not a comedy.
Charming. No, wait,
Oh, it's a comedy, David. Stop.
Thank you, Stu. There's some dramatic moments in there, but that's a comedy, and it's funny, and it's charming.
Parenthood would be in my top 5 of a Steve Martin, all-time Steve Martin movies, but I do not view that as a comedy. There were moments in there that made me smile, but more moments that made me cry.
Go ahead.
Be that as it may. Father of the Bride.
Thank you.
It's a great movie.
Again, speaking of Only Murders in the Building, Martin Short, Stu, as Frank. I mean, the guy's unbelievable.
Amazing.
Welcome to the 90s, Mr. Bonks.
Can't make that movie today. Well, they did.
Yeah, they did. It was like,
was
it's
better.
set in Miami, wasn't it? I saw that movie.
Garcia.
It was like,
Yeah. Was that BT's? I think it was BT's.
The remake of that just came out with Andy Garcia and Gloria Estefan.
Yep.
Steve Martin,
excellent.
you know, Steve Martin, also a prop comic.
Yeah. Number 3, Bowfinger.
Yeah. That's my guy.
I knew Amin would love this. Is
That
the most
movie sucks.
underrated Steve Martin
Bowfinger?
movie.
Bowfinger sucks.
is
There was one
tremendous.
scene at the border that, at the time, when we judge by the humor and moralities of the time, was actually quite funny.
Bowfinger is genius, but it is too inside baseball. That's the problem. It's way too inside.
No, that scene, I mean, where he says, one day I have a dream that a FedEx delivery guy will come and give me a package. And they do it in slow motion, and the music's soaring at the end. Hysterical. Eddie Murphy playing dual roles. With Bowfinger, Samson, underrated Steve Martin. Hysterical
Did you
movie.
just add that to your list after the
No,
right
I
guy?
haven't. No, of course I did. My list is awesome. Don't be jealous. So far, I'm 3 for 3. Parenthood, Father of the Bride, Bowfinger. It's going to get even better. Number 2, LA Story. Come on. The first scene of a hot dog going by in the air, him and Sarah Jessica Parker together. How do you spell Sandy? Big S, one small A, big N. That movie's hilarious, Samson. LA Story, a great LA movie. Come on.
And an LA Story may be in my top 15 of all-time movies. I just redid my top 100. But LA Story, again, I don't view that as a comedy. That is a movie about a very serious situation with a man and his destiny. There's only 3 things, the miracles, the tree of life outside Bahrain, and this is the place where I met her. That was his ex-wife, Victoria Tennant, by the way. Great
Well,
movie.
It's listed
but
as a
not
comedy. I'm on
It's a rom-com.
according to the internet.
It's
it
a
says
rom-com. That's what I was going to say.
comedy, drama, fantasy.
Yep.
And number 1, fellas, this is easily the best. I'm shocked Samson did not have this on his list. It's a real no-brainer. Planes, Trains, and
Yes,
Automobiles.
thank you.
I've been pleased. Have mercy. I've been wearing the same underwear since Tuesday. I can vouch for that. Those
look
aren't
like
pillows. How about that Bears game? Hell the game.
I've seen it too, guys. I love it. It's a great movie. Awesome.
You've never
Loved
seen
it.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
Nah, bro.
What?
I'm sorry. I know. I'm 40 years old. I guess I'm old, but I should have watched these movies apparently. But
have you seen any of the 10 movies?
Yeah, I've seen a couple of them. So the Three Amigos, right? That was one of them. I've seen that. Bowfinger. I've seen that. I think there's a couple other ones in there that I might have seen, but
I've got my top 5, which is curiously a nice blend of both lists.
For someone that's respected as one of the greatest comedians, this IMDb is pretty weak.
No, I mean, look, he
does not make good movies.
No,
He misses way more than he hits.
No. He's a volume shooter for sure.
Yeah.
He's like Robert De Niro. Like you say, oh, Robert De Niro's a great actor. Look at his IMDb. Look at all these dud movies that he makes. But it's because he takes the checks. But when he puts his mind to it, he makes great movies. Here's my list real quick.
But De Niro has The Godfather on his list. Like,
So he just decided to put his mind to it twice?
Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Okay, so at OLI, I've got an OLI. The Man with Two Brains.
These are not good movies.
And Mel Mahay? Come on, man.
These are not good movies.
Like,
you wildin'.
Where's Sergeant Bilko?
Got it with Mike.
Sergeant Bilko's terrible.
Terrible
movie.
Phil Hartman. Jeez.
Number 5, Bowfinger.
Yes.
Number 4, Three Amigos. Number 3, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yes.
Number 2, The Jerk. And number 1, I guess this says a lot about my character. I, like David Samson, love Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. It is the perfect movie. The perfect movie in terms of a story, in terms of hilarity, in terms of twists and turns. You can't make a movie more perfect than that. And one of my favorite things about that movie, there's a restaurant here in Miami called Poppy Steak. And when you go into the bathroom, they have a huge mural, for some reason, of Michael Caine and Steve Martin from that movie. I don't know why, but I love it.
what was the impetus for the Steve? Is Steve Martin doing so? It's just because Only Murders, like what?
Birthday.
Steve Martin also.
Only Burgers in the building?
It's that we come up with things like today's Steve Carell's birthday. We could have done a top 5 Steve Carell.
No, you couldn't.
I didn't know that. I always assumed that.
Yes, you could.
He doesn't have 5.
What
Yes,
5?
you could.
What 5 does he have? What,
Oh, we will
40?
find out after the break.
I always assumed the point of this segment was to see if you could get which Jess or Lucy to fall asleep.
I think that's
No, they're too busy on Etsy right now.
We're working on something completely unrelated this entire time.
Good for you.
We've
I wish
definitely
I
been
was with you
working.
guys.
And also tweeting.
I wish I was with you guys.
You've never seen any of these movies for real?
Some of them, but
No,
saw a couple, he
you know,
said.
whenever, like, when Domonique says things like this, you know what I feel? Honestly, I'm like, poor kid, man. He was playing football the whole time, had no time
But if
to
it
watch.
wasn't for that sweet white family that took him in.
We were the lucky ones.
That's a winner segment, Adnan. See you later.
I love it.